We finally hit the offseason. We had a big W against Notre Dame, but the national championship went down like this. Clemson played Alabama. Clemson ends up winning that game 36-35 in a last-second touchdown thriller. Then we have Texas versus Miami. Texas ends up winning that one 31-28, a last-second field goal in the last 30 seconds. Big game. Then in the national title game, it was Texas versus Clemson, but Texas just had too much. They end up winning it, become your national champions, something that will probably never happen in your lifetime. With the offseason here, I just want to remind you guys, if you go to store.goodgamebro.com, also linked in the description down below, you can pick up some Cascade Valley merch. There's some GGB, Good Game Bro merch. We got hoodies. We got t-shirts. We got stuff that's available from kid sizes. We got things that are desktop mouse pads. Whatever you're looking for, we got it. Store.goodgamebro.com. Now, we touched on a lot in the last episode in terms of award winners, but I want to touch on stats really quickly. So if you don't care about that one, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the next part of the video. But Warren Fullwood had a great year. 3,500 passing yards, not too far off the school record we'll talk about in a second. 31 passing touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 269 yards per game. A man got sacked 20 times. Honestly, he was very good. Ben Williams, also very good. This man threw for almost 800 yards in the season with 7 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions. And then McDonald, obviously, his little time he had there as well with 2 picks. On the ground, Terrence Williams was fantastic. 1,500 yards, 23 rushing touchdowns. Fullwood, 12 rushing touchdowns. Kendrick, 12 rushing touchdowns as well. We were definitely a team that exceeded on the ground, but we still had a really good air game too. And speaking of in the air, big shout out to Matt Wilson breaking the 1,000-yard receiving yard mark. That doesn't really happen that often in Cascade Valley. Obviously, he didn't get the school record, but you never know what could happen next year if he ends up coming back. 5 touchdowns for him. Williams, 285 in the air, 2 touchdowns. Clark had 4 receiving touchdowns. Ends up being kick returner of the year as well with 600 yards total receiving. Almost 500 for Porter Ryan with 5 touchdowns. Furtney, you see Mikael Smith, 8 receiving touchdowns, which led us as a true freshman receiver. This guy I think is going to be special. Could be a 90 overall going into next season. You kind of see how the rest of the guys ultimately did. It was a solid year through the year. We don't really talk about blocking too much, but big shout out to Armani Furtney. The sophomore had 10 pancakes as a tight end. Big fella, we see you. Defensively, Christoph Houston was incredible. 102 tackles for him, 30 tackles for loss, 4 sacks overall. Shackelford was pretty high up there. This man still can't really tackle that well, but we'll keep working on that. From a sack perspective, 8 by Amir Carson and Tony Rutledge. Both those guys balled out well. We see the senior Isaiah Holman with 6 sacks, 4 for Kendall Owens and Christoph Houston. A lot of guys got involved. George Fry was kind of still a solid year for him. 60 total tackles, 9 for loss, 1 sack. Again, people hated that move to outside linebacker, but I think he was still good there. Interceptions were definitely down for us. Nobody really stood out outside of Kendall Johnson earlier in the season. The redshirt freshman had 5. Shackelford goes with 4. Mitchell with 3. Missed out on a zillion opportunities though. We see DeMel Hill with 2. Then 1 by a whole lot of guys, or actually a couple of guys here, and Christoph Houston and George Fry. But that's it. Usually we would have like 20, 25, maybe even close to 30 picks on a year, but this team was definitely down. And we only had 2 defensive touchdowns this year, which again breaks my heart. We've had guys that have had way more than that in the season, and as a team, we only had 2. 1 by Kendall Johnson and 1 by James Mitchell. Because kickers are people too. We kicked 6 times this year. Not a record, but 6 times, along with 49 for Aiden Bailey. He was absolutely money. From an extra point standpoint, 84 of 86. I will take that every single time. On a punting standpoint, Montellis 22 for 955. Had an average of 43.5. Only 1 inside the 20. We'll work on that. Kick returns, Clark. The yards aren't really what really tells the story. It's 2 kick return touchdowns, which are huge. Punt returns, again, solid 9 per return. We would love to see a touchdown there going into next year, though. Now, obviously, we've had a little bit of movement here. We see something big happen where our offensive coordinator left and went to Central Michigan to take on their head coaching job. We didn't expect this, but it is what it is. And we're getting Drew Mehringer, I guess is how you say this guy's name. He's bringing in Florida Atlantic's playbook with a spread offense. Maybe there's some tweaks we'll ultimately do, but a different offense might be okay for us. And what could be some of the worst news we got, our defensive coordinator had his contract extended. What are we doing here at Cascade Valley? Let this man go. One of the scariest times of the offseason is when players leave, and we have some good news and some bad news. First, we got a couple of guys graduating here. We can see Derek Simpson, James Mitchell, Chris Jordan, and Quentin Robinson all graduating. I would want to think that James Mitchell probably has a chance to play in the league, but based off how we finished this season, probably not. Now we're seeing Isaiah Holman projected to be a 6th rounder, Wesley Gaines a 5th rounder, 3rd rounder for Terrence Williams, Tony Rutledge a 1st rounder. He was killing it, so I'm not surprised. James Jackson is projected to be a 5th rounder. He's leaving as a junior, and we're seeing Mark Wood projected to be a 3rd rounder as a sophomore. I want to tell him to stay, but we got some good linemen coming in, and go get your money, young fella. Where I'm upset though is that we're looking at Javian Moore leaving as a 79 overall freshman. That's not good news for us. He wants to go to Michigan. Are you kidding me? They just lost in the national title game in real life. And then you've got Scotty Drayton, a freshman redshirt 84 overall, transferring for playtime. He would literally be starting right now, so we're going to try to keep that guy if possible. And what scares me is that persuasion chance is very low. He says pretty much he hates us. We'll say you play him more than 9 games. I don't feel like I have a chance to make a difference in this team. You'd be starting for Javian or Xavier Moore, whose name we keep messing up. We're looking at some options here, and none of these are looking good for us right now. I mean, we can guarantee that you'll play in more than 9 games. He's transferring. Okay, so we just lost 2 major players that would have been helping us big time. That's not good news. Knowing that we're now going to be losing some of these guys, I'm gonna talk to Mark Wood. Mark Wood, maybe it's possible that you come on back. So for Mark Wood, basically we can tell him, we can promise he won't regret staying to get his college degree. We can guarantee a conference, national, first round, second round. It's all pretty whatever. I'm just gonna go basic and say, I mean, get your college degree, young fella. And he's coming back. You'll get more money next year, I promise. Probably from the boosters or the NIL. And I mean, look, I'm gonna talk to James Jackson as well. I know I said I wasn't gonna let these guys get their money, but man, I need you right now. So just come on back and get that degree. And he's coming back. Now, for those guys that did go to the NFL draft, we got some good news here. Tony Rutledge goes in the first round. I mean, again, an absolute stud who was killing it. I'm not surprised. Terrence Williams goes instead of the 3rd. He goes in the 2nd round, which is great news for him. We see Wesley Gaines go in the 4th and Isaiah Holman go in the 6th. I think Holman will be a guy that can absolutely start for a team. I think all these guys will be contributors, but I'm really proud of how they ultimately did. They got drafted. Hold on a second, buddy. We got some transfers coming in. This is why I love this transfer mod. Big shout out to Fangs for this transfer mod. So we got DJ Byers wanting to come in, a 79 overall freshman from Alabama. You know they got some good players over yonder. Auburn, JJ Barrett, another corner coming in, 5'9". We got a 6'3". Byers makes me a little bit more happy. Then we have a defensive tackle coming in at a 76 overall, Grant Harrington. I mean, things looking okay. I know we lost a defensive lineman, but we got 1 and we got 2 corners. So this is honestly pretty good in my opinion. And if we check out Byers in particular, 90 speed, 91 acceleration. He's got 85 and 86 zone coverages, man coverage, 89 press. Yeah, this guy's going to be good. JJ Barrett is even faster with 94 speed, 89 excel, 89 man, 82 zone. Press is kind of cheeks, but honestly, those rest of those stats are pretty good. And then Harrington comes in, again, a redshirt junior, but 88 strength. This guy, if worse, will be probably a rotational guy, but honestly, we could use all the help we can get. Our defense was abysmal last year. We got to get better. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made the biggest mistake in Cascade Valley history. We accepted 3 transfers. We're not used to getting transfers. We only had 3 scholarships remaining, didn't realize it. We then, with only 3 transfers coming in, we only had 3 scholarships. Those 3 scholarships went to the transfers, and Bull Dunlap does not come to Cascade Valley. He goes to Texas Tech because we miscalculated how many scholarships we had. I hope those guys are good. And because we lost Bull Dunlap, we now have the #2 class in the nation. Are you kidding me? Now, the good news is we still have a couple of athletes that we can move around here. One of the guys I'm most excited about is Desmond Simmons, and I cannot wait to see where this guy goes. What makes me the most excited about Desmond Simmons is he has 96 man coverage, 90 zone coverage. He's got 83 catching, 83 spectacular catch. This is another guy that'll play both sides of the ball. He's going to be primarily a defender. We want to keep him locked in there, but expect to see him in some way, shape, or form involved in offense because this guy is an absolute stud. We need him on defense. And so with that, he'll actually be an 84 overall corner, which is news to me, and I love to see it. And if you're looking at it in terms of where that actually ranks in, we lost so many guys. We were so poor on that side of the ball last year. Desmond Simmons coming in will be the top rated guy at corner. There's some guys that can maybe usurp him through training, but he is sitting there at the #1 spot, and that's great news. We got Will Scott coming in as well, a 6'1", 199-pound guy who's got very good zone and man coverage along with very high press and catching. He could play receiver, but we have 6 million guys receiver plus 4 redshirt freshmen or 4 freshmen that were receiver last year. There's a log jam there. Will Scott, you're going to be playing corner again. And putting him at corner makes him a 79 overall. Again, this is a guy that potentially could transfer at some point, but I like having some depth there. And maybe he plays this year, maybe he doesn't. We'll figure it out. Now, I know we talked about a log jam at receiver. We're also about to have a log jam at corner. We got so many talented guys there, and a lot of these guys are going to be redshirted. But Savon Shelby's coming in. Solid speed and acceleration. His zone 86, his man 90, his press 84. This could be a guy that maybe plays day 1. If we look at where he ultimately is going to sit, though, we could play him at free safety. We have a lot of guys there. We could play him at corner, 79 overall. I think that's ultimately the spot for him because on offense, he doesn't really have anything that he can ultimately do. It really makes him worthwhile. Yeah, put him at wide receiver, 65 overall. I don't feel like that's the best move for him. So to set him up for success, we're gonna put him in corner. Keyshawn Anderson comes in, 85 speed, but weirdly 99 acceleration. He's got a really high tackle and hit power rating, as well as a pursuit of a 95 and play rec of 80. but he's got an 88 route running. This guy really feels like one of the weirdest athletes I think I've ever seen. I'm interested to see where he goes. Now, what's interesting for him, he could play at wide receiver and be an 87 overall, but we have so many guys that are talented there. I don't want to put him there. He's also very good at a lot of different things. Could play defensive end. He could play outside linebacker, middle linebacker, right outside linebacker. But I think right outside linebacker is the move for him. And if you're screaming for me to put him at receiver, 87 is great, but he wouldn't even be our top 3 receivers here. Porter Ryan's rated higher, so is Matt Wilson and Jalen Clark, and these guys haven't even had their training yet. And if you look where this would ultimately put him, it would put him behind P.O. Clark and Keyshawn Anderson, or sorry, P.O. Clark and Will Hayes. Will Hayes maybe isn't going to be the guy right outside linebacker. We'll figure out. Middle linebacker, we got 2 guys that are very good here in Donald Gamblin and Christoph Houston. You go to left outside linebacker, we got George Fry and Williams. Honestly, maybe Fry gets the boot and we put Keyshawn Anderson there. I actually kind of like that. We're going to put Anderson here. He can fight against George Fry. If George Fry either regresses or doesn't have a good year again, maybe he's moving somewhere else. Darren Pollard, 6'4", 257 pounds. This is an absolute unit of a human being. Great acceleration here to 93. Solid speed. Pursuit is high to 91. I got a good feeling about it. Now, his stuff's interesting. He's not going to be super highly rated really anywhere. Linebackers are an opportunity for him. He could play one of the outside spots, could play inside, could play defensive tackle. He's 6'4", 257. I kind of want to give him a spot at defensive end here. And what this ultimately means is that he's going to be playing behind Kendall Owens, who is great, a junior, and honestly will probably go to the NFL after the season as long as he has good training and a good year overall. So he could maybe play a little bit this year in some sparing opportunities. We'll see. Now, I know we talked about log jams, but look at what's going on in strong safety. Michael Lanier is coming in, day 1 starter. I don't care. I'm so tired of Jonas Shackelford missing tackle after tackle after tackle. We're probably going to be moving him. And I think what it's going to come down to is the 6'6", 200-pound beast is going to move to left outside linebacker. A lot of people there, maybe some of these guys ultimately don't make the team. It's going to be something to figure out, but Shackelford, I want to give him an opportunity. It's one of his higher rated spots. He could go to middle linebacker, but again, he's not going to play. I want to give him an opportunity to try to shine somewhere, somehow. The guys put in a lot of work this offseason. Hopefully, I'm excited to see where they came back. Warren Fullwood comes in at a 94 with a +2, but look at Patrick McDonald. This dude didn't transfer. We thought he was going to be gone. He stays. He's a 94 overall, goes up +5. So we got a little bit of a QB controversy here between Fullwood and McDonald. One guy goes down. We still got another good one. We have 3 guys over 90, though, with a 91 in Ben Williams, who also balled out. At halfback, you got Joe Kendrick, 83 overall, going up +3, back here for his senior season. Or Derek Johnson, the redshirt freshman, didn't really get any better. At fullback, Darryl Burrs, who actually got some carries last year, shows really good improvement. +6, some of the highest we've seen so far. At receiver, we saw some guys kill it. Look at what Porter Ryan did with the +3. Matt Wilson now goes +5, getting up to 98 speed, matching Porter Ryan for 93 overall as the highest rated guy in the team. These guys, senior and sophomore, the ceiling is super high for them. Jalen Clark goes up to a 90. Antonio Vaughn, the redshirt year was huge for him. Up +7, the highest we've seen. 90 speed, great acceleration, great awareness. This dude is ready. Mikael Smith goes up +2. We see Mack go up +3 and Rebels go up +2. Armani Fernie didn't really have probably the year he thought he was going to have, but still a 91 now. Marquette Renee, maybe he's learning how to catch the ball a little bit better. +4 to a 79. Left tackle, we see Wood go up to a +5 and a 92. He should be primed to be a top 1 to 2 round pick, in my opinion, in the next draft. Prater comes here with a +3. And left guard, we're seeing Shane Walker not really get any better for his senior season, which means he's probably not going to be playing much. At center, we've got James Jackson up to a 91 with a +4. Jaquette Simmons up to an 89 and Darius Bush to an 82. Right guard, we got Dylan Baker to 84. And then we see Alvin Camp go up big +6 to a 70, but he's still a long ways away from playing. Right tackle, again, a lot of guys here. Not all these guys will be making the team. We'll ultimately see what happens. Thank God for the transfer portal for them. We're seeing Chris Way go up +4. We see Sanders up to an 86. Ray up to an 85, Neely to an 84, and we have a 75 here. If just these guys were our offensive line, we'd honestly be good. At left end, Kendall Owens, +3. Love what he did this offseason. Right end, we're going to see Pat Hill go up to an 86 with a +4. Durant goes up +6 to an 85. We get +4 from Kenny Davis and a +3 from Odiari. Defensive tackle, man, the big fellas are putting in work. Love what I'm seeing here. 89 over here for Sean Anderson. 87 for Corey Brown. Amir Carson up to an 87. Marcel Wakefield goes up 86. But look at the transfer. Grant Harrington transfers in and he goes up +8 to an 84 overall. I mean, you talk about a guy that really adapted, used our offseason to be the best he could be. Grant Harrington did that. And Brian Wilkins just probably played himself off this team. On the left outside linebacker side, we're seeing George Fry go up +4. Thank God. He had a terrible offseason the year prior. He comes in this year, mind ready, body ready, +4. Big moves for him. Shackelford is now going to be up to an 80, moving to a new position for himself. We're going to see Williams come in +4 to an 80 overall as well. You go to the middle linebacker spot, Sam Dees goes up big, 88 overall for him. Christoph Houston doesn't have the offseason I probably thought he was going to have, but he's still going to be there. 87 overall +1. Brian Alvarez comes up to an 86 overall, but the senior may not make the team considering how many young guys we have below him. We'll figure that one out. And right outside linebacker, Will Hayes, who was a safety early in his career, comes in here big. 83 overall +4, and he has 94 speed with 98 agility. This guy's going to make some plays for us. At corner, Kendall Johnson. Love what I'm seeing. +3 to an 86. Jaquez Nesto, what were you doing in the offseason? Doesn't improve in anything. We see DJ Byers come in. Big for him. Again, another transfer coming in was a +3. Nate D. Ward had some really bad coverage opportunities last year, and he just shows that even though his awareness was dumb high, he did not get any better. Loses it to a -2. JJ Barrett comes in the transfer. May not make the team, even though he has pretty good speed. Loses 1. We're going to see CJ Sandin come in with a +1. Holt comes in with a +4. Another +4 here for Kingsley Spencer and Darius Richardson as well. At free safety, DeMel Hill in his senior year. Love what I'm seeing. +4 to an 89. We need him to step up big this year. Manjiro is going to come up to a 77 +3, and then Miles Smith also up +3 to a 73. Jacob Coleman, solid year, goes up +1. Kenneth Clark, big moves, +4, and we see Jake Dalton go up +1. The 6'6" redshirt freshman just itching to get on the field. Kicker, Aiden Bailey, I'm loving what I'm seeing. +3 to a 92. He should have a great year, maybe be up for the Groza. And then in punter, we're seeing Montelos go to a 74, which is a +5, but he may not make the team despite being an All-American because there's a redshirt freshman, a freshman that came in that's even higher rated, but we'll figure that out. This is, I think, one of the toughest things we have to do, though. We have to cut 15 people from this roster. It is going to be a bloodbath. Alvin Camp, you're 6'8", 287. You got to go fight crime somewhere because you're not making the roster. I'm sorry. Ernest Hamilton, redshirt freshman. We got a whole lot of guys that are above you that you probably will never play. I'm sorry. Go do something in the library. Kenny Davis is good, but he's not going to be good enough to make this team. I'm sorry, Kenny. We got some guys ahead of you and some guys behind you that are going to be better. It honestly pains me to do it, but I think we have to let go of Brian Wilkins. He's good, but we have just so many guys ahead of him. I know there's a senior sitting there. This guy just transferred. I feel bad. You know what? I didn't want you in the first place. You're the reason why we don't have our guy. We don't have Bo Dunlap because of you. We have so many defensive tackles. Oh my God. We have 79 people left at this point, but look how many guys we have at corner. Oh my God. I should have started here. Jacob Coleman, man, you've been so good, but I think we got to let him go. I know we've got Clark behind him as a sophomore redshirt, has more of an opportunity to shine. Perry Kendrick's going to need an opportunity to shine at some point. Jake Dalton. Actually, you know what? Jake Dalton, I'm sorry. You know, you're tall. You probably could have been a quarterback, but not on this team. This is a really tough one right here. We have Evan Shepard, this punter that we just brought in, who's great. We have Montelis, who we won an award with. I don't know. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches to cut an award-winning punter, but honestly, Shepard is a little bit younger, more time to shine. DJ, best of luck. Brandon Revels, a lot of potential, but you're a junior at the bottom of the depth chart. You got to go. Brian Alvarez, you're a senior. You know what? It ain't your time. Richardson, weakest link. Goodbye. Kingsley Spencer, great name. Not playing for this team. JJ Barrett, you're part of the reason why we didn't get Bo Dunlap. We'll be seeing you. Nate D. Ward, didn't hit the weights in the offseason. We'll be seeing you. Brandon Holt, I'm sorry, redshirt freshman. You got to go. And with one position left to go, I think it has to come at corner. CJ Sandin has been in the team. He's 89 speed. I just feel like he's the guy that has to go. He's at the bottom. We'll be seeing you. The redshirt process is a really tough one. Obviously, we're not going to be redshirting anybody at quarterback because Fullwood will be our starter. McDonald will be competing, but we might still need him considering how much Fullwood has been hurt. At halfback, we're going to have Juice Dawson as the guy that plays day one. Kendrick and him will be splitting a lot of their carries. Fullback, no one's redshirted. Wide receiver going to be redshirting Jeremiah Butler, the 6'4", absolute freak. His speed's an 84, so I'm hoping he gets a little bit better in that department. But he and Nasir Graham, who didn't have a good offseason, will both be redshirted in hopes that it can kind of make them better. Actually, I guess he was technically a freshman coming in, so his offseason doesn't matter. He had what he has. At left tackle, we're going to be taking Tyrion May and John Phelps and redshirting both of those guys because we obviously brought back Mark Wood. He's going to be leaving after the season because we saw what his draft stock was. He'll be a first or second rounder at worst. At center, we're also going to be taking Jaquiz Simmons. and John Chapman. I know it's a little bit weird. Chapman makes sense. Simmons maybe not, but we're hoping that maybe Simmons will come back one more year. We can have him maybe slotted into that spot at a 90+ overall. We'll figure it out. At right tackle, a lot of these guys have already been redshirted, so Keyshawn Brooks will be redshirted in hopes that, again, he can be a dominant force next year. At left end, we're going to see Darren Pollard, also redshirted because he's behind the incredible Kendall Owens. Moving to left outside linebacker, we're going to be taking Keyshawn Anderson. It hurts me to redshirt this guy, but with Jonas Shackelford and George Fry both ahead of him, it just makes sense to really give him a year to learn, watch, and then he can probably be the starter next year. Middle linebacker, we're going to be taking Donnell Gamblin, who I do not want to redshirt. We're going to put him on the redshirt list, hoping his speed gets up a little bit better, but again, he'll be competing next season. Maybe not a middle linebacker, but a different spot on the outside linebacker spot could be his. P.O. Clark on the right outside linebacker spot will be redshirting as well. And then at corner, we have so many guys. We're going to be taking Will Scott, Savon Shelby, and then Chancellor Allen, all redshirting those guys. I think they will be big-time players for us, but we have 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen. It should be 3 sophomores and 2 freshmen ahead of all of those guys. They need a year to sort of just marinate and figure things out. And we'll see who of these guys isn't good, and maybe these guys, somebody transfers or figures it out, but this will be a position we're locked at for a little bit. And then a strong safety, we're going to be taking Perry Kendrick and redshirting him because we have a sophomore, a senior, and a freshman who is probably going to be an all-timer here for us. If he's anything like we think he's going to be, Michael Lanier is going to be an absolute stud. Now, as for a schedule, we're coming out with, I think, the hardest schedule in the nation. It is ranked A+ in terms of strength of schedule, which if we can come out of here with just 1 loss, I think that'll show us that we should be in the college football playoffs by far. We're opening the season at Appalachian State. We then come home, we face Illinois. We then 2 weeks later come back or stay at home and we play number 1 Notre Dame, the preseason ranked number 1 team in the nation. And it's number 24 Indiana, number 22 Iowa, number 19 Ole Miss, number 7 USC, Purdue, UCLA, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin. We are going to be going through an absolute gauntlet. These weeks right here, what is this, 5 weeks? That is 5 weeks of top 25 opponent after top 25 opponent after top 25 opponent. It's going to be a rough one. I'm excited to see how it shakes out, and I think we have an unbelievably talented team with a whole lot of youth, but I'm hoping our veterans, the guys that came back from last season, that they're ready to go. This offensive line should be great. It's just, can the defense be significantly better than last season? God, I hope so. Be safe, be smart, tell somebody you love them. Catch you guys on the next one.